Welcome to Go For Side Effects. I'm your host, Kevin Simon. Y'all know my co-host, Wade. Wade, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Jason, how you doing?
Good, guys.
Paul, how you doing?
I'm doing A-okay, boss. Doing A-okay.
I just want each and every one of y'all know tonight, Paul is the reason why we're here, because he brought up a really fascinating topic one time in an after show, and I thought that would be great to do a podcast on. But before we get to it, don't forget, next week, we're going to bring Dr. Glum and one of the people that she works with in the research department to come on. We're going to talk about ICD codes, her research. It's going to be a fabulous podcast. And right up here, if you want to do her research, it's simple, it's easy, it's at home. I got my kid in, I did my blood work. It's simple, it's great. And so I recommend right up here, clicking on the QR code. Now, before we get into Paul jumping in this first, I would like to talk to y'all about one thing coming up really soon. Yes, it is the Army-Navy game. And either I'm going to dress up like a full-blown female or Wade is. And I'm really thinking it's going to be Wade. But I got a message. Yes, I got a message. And these guys decided that they were going to take up for Wade. And this is the message I got. Here it is.
Well, I'll give you a message. That's we're going to beat Navy and you're going to be wearing a damn dress.
Oh, yeah.
So if y'all don't know what they said is that, Kevin, I'm going to be wearing a dress because the Army's going to beat the crap out of the Navy. Well, you know what? I'm really glad I got sent that anonymously. That was Army players. Believe it or not, that was from the Army players. And I don't know why the Navy's not taking up for me. So, wow, really great.
The size of those guys?
Man, they're huge. Man, I don't know what they're feeding these kids lately. Dang. All right. So now, before we get into all this, and Paul, when you brought up the topic I've never even thought about, and when I started doing my research on this, I was blown away. I mean, not only were there toxics and chemicals from the war, but it was everyday use for everybody in the military. So I'm going to let you lead this off. I want you to go.
All right. So again, I think everybody knows me, Paul Schwartz. Spent about 6 years in the Air Force. This topic of toxic chemicals has been around since Agent Orange. I mean, honestly, my grandfather was in World War I and convinced that he was exposed to mustard gas or kind of Lord knows whatever. He had 5 kids, 25 cousins. 10 of them have been diagnosed with cancer. 8 have died. No reason or rhyme for that other than Grandpa was in World War I. So that kind of tipped my thought to this a couple decades ago. But meanwhile, I'm in the Gulf War and I'm running a burn pit. Why? Because, heck, I'm an E2. E2 runs a burn pit. So I'm out there with my JP4 burning tires and medical waste and, all these different wonderful, latrine leftovers, to put it politely. And, okay, that's what you do. You were an E2, right? You're throwing JP4 to fire. And my job, 12 hours a day in the heat in Saudi Arabia, was to keep the fire going. 20 years later, I get a letter from the VA saying, hey, do you have lung cancer? And another letter, and another letter, and another letter. I'm like, what is this insanity about? Do I have these chemical or do I have these health conditions? What was I exposed to? That was 2015. 2017, I read a report by the Government Accounting Office saying that 90% of all Gulf War veteran claims were denied. 90% of all Gulf War veteran claims were denied. Something's not right here, ladies and gentlemen. I realized that it wasn't just the burn pits. It wasn't just Saudi Arabia. It wasn't just Desert Storm and depleted uranium. And I was close to this ammo dump that had sarin gas and you weren't close to it. And all, no. This idea of chemical exposure is much bigger than a lot of us even begin to think. We think Agent Orange. We think, mustard gas. We think of horrible things, sarin gas. We think of burn pits, all these different things. Well, I realized and came to find out that something called AFFF, Nope, can't pronounce it. If you want to know what AFFF is, go Google AFFF, and if you can pronounce it, I'd love to hear it.
I agree.
This is what is in the wonderful white firefighting foam that was on every military installation that had an engine. I don't care if it was a Jeep, tank, truck, helicopter, airplane, does not matter. The reason why they use this foam is because it's one of the few things that can put out kerosene fires. JP4, JP5, JP8, all the jet fuels are kerosene based fuels. The reason why, because gasoline fumes can catch on fire, kerosene cannot. In order to light a jet fuel sourced fire, you have to light the match and you have to actually touch the jet fuel, otherwise it will not catch on fire. Gasoline will actually let you light the fumes on fire. So obviously not a good safety thing, right? At the end of the day, that's what the military use. That stuff, boom, use it on base, use it on post, use it on the camp, gets washed down in the drains, goes right into the old base well waters. We drink it. AFFF is called a forever toxic chemical. It can never leave your body. Okay? Never leaves your body. Once you've got it, you can't get rid of it. 4 parts. You know what? My video here is being goofy on me, guys. Sorry, I'm going to change out of that here real quick. 4 parts per trillion. Somebody said to me, Paul, okay, what is 1 part per trillion? 1 part per trillion is 1 drop of water for 1,000 swimming pools. That is 1 part per trillion. 4 parts per trillion of this stuff, per the EPA, is toxic. 4 parts per trillion. The average military installation in the United States of America has over 200 parts per trillion. So I got excited. I got angry. I got frustrated. I'm like, okay, I want my blood tested. The DOD, the VA won't test your blood. As a matter of fact, very, very, very few people will actually test your blood for this. I found a company that does it. Got the at-home kit. My wife took 4 vials of blood out of my body, sent it off to this particular lab. My blood count was 1.8 million parts per trillion. 4 are toxic. I'm at 1.8 million, and my numbers are low. That's where I started to go, what else were we exposed to? I know a lot of Navy people worked in ships and dry docks. Benzene immediately will cause you cancer. Kevin, what were we talking about the other? PD80, MD80? I can't remember. PD80. Anything that any of us use to degrease something. Every single gun cleaner out there. How do you get carbon off of your weapon? Whether it's an M16, 45, 9 mil, 50 cal, whatever it is.
Hot water.
Yeah, it works every time. I heard that was an old wives' tale, but apparently it's not.
But I mean, I could tell you on the ship that I was on, all the wires and everything, like we would have to, take the grease off, put in new grease. I mean, anything and everything. And then you wash your hands in degreaser.
So this was an interesting thing to me, is that I was in the Air Force and I used to know guys who would wash their uniforms in jet fuel, because that was the only thing that would take all the grease and oil off of it.
Oh shit.
They would wash their uniforms in jet fuel. I mean, now not like a washing machine because it is jet fuel, but they would have these big like cow troughs or whatever, where farm animals go, the big silver things, dunk it like 6, 7, 10 times into the jet fuel, and then take it, wring it out, power wash the BDU uniforms. And that's how they had to get this stuff off their uniforms. Well, does it really come out? Let's just say I didn't know many of them that were smokers.
No, that's probably pretty good.
That was
I
a
think,
joke, by the way.
I think one of the things that I found, and in my research on this, I just want to bring this up. I looked up firefighting foam. I looked up the cleaner, degreasers, but asbestos was on almost every Navy ship that was from the Vietnam era and all the Army buildings and Air Force buildings and Marine buildings. I could not believe that. But I do remember we were chipping up the deck, take out the flooring, and immediately this, residue came up, and the guy jumps up. He goes, "Everybody evacuate. That's asbestos." I didn't know what asbestos was, and he was like, "It causes cancer. Get out of here." And so we had to evacuate that area. And so, the more I dug into this, where you led me down this rabbit hole, and I'm sorry. Go ahead, Paul.
No, it's
I know you
okay.
got more.
I feel like there might be a lot of people out there say, "Oh, geez, Paul, you were in the Air Force." You're right. I worked in intelligence. You're right. I worked inside a vault inside of a vault. It was called a SCIF, for sensitive compartmented information facility. So you had to have all kinds of security clearance to get in. Well, gee, Paul, what's in there? Well, you know what? Whatever we wanted, because no one could come in and check it. Whatever we wanted was in there. It wasn't until 1994 when we started to get those big yellow warning chemical container locker things. I know everybody knows what I'm talking about. You have any idea how easy it is for us to get 5 gallons of rubber cement? We used to order rubber cement from supply by the 5-gallon load, and you're in an enclosed vault. In an enclosed vault, we'd be high by 11 o'clock. We would be high by 11 o'clock because we were using so much rubber cement to glue maps together so that we could go bomb the Soviet Union if we ever needed to. We used to have to take a mandatory 30-minute break outside just so that we wouldn't get dizzy and pass out. Well, it was just part of the job. It's just what you did. You're right, because you're 18 years old, you're 10 foot tall, and you're bulletproof. Nothing's ever going to happen to me. And if it does, I'll be dead or in prison by the time I'm 35. That was my mentality. I'll be dead or in prison if I make it to 35. So why not throw caution to the wind? How little did we know that the high number of things that we were dealing with were toxic, possible cancer causing, and the level of exposures we were exposed to. There was no hearing plugs, there was no PPE, there was no breathing equipment, there's no respirators. No, this is what you do. It's what we've been doing for decades, Paul. And I remember one time asking the question, not questioning, but asking the question, like, shouldn't there be a fan in here or something? No, it's a SCIF, Paul. We can't let anything in or out. Okay. Can we, like, once a week open up, put away all the classified materials and open up the doors and let the wind blow through for 10 minutes? Something? Nope. It's a SCIF, Paul. I can't do that. I'm just like, oh my gosh. All right. It's the way it is. And coming back from the Gulf War with the burn pits, I'm like, oh, that's not as bad as a burn pit. Burn pits were way worse than this. Way worse. You're right. Some people in chat painting vehicles without respirators. If anybody ever worked on a vehicle of any kind up through 1990, 1984, I think, is when asbestos brakes were stopped being made. Is that when the military stopped using them? No, because they had warehouses full of that crap. Well, hey, we stopped using lead paint in 77. That's when they stopped making it, not when it was stopped being used. They stopped making asbestos-based brakes in 84. That's not when the stockpile was empty. Okay? Very different things. Very different things. If you worked anywhere around vehicles, in motor pool, any way, shape, or form, you were exposed to asbestos at a level that is probably worse than most people in the Navy. If you were in the Navy and you worked on vehicles, that's a double threat.
Right? I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I was supposed to we chip paint and paint it. We primed. I mean, couldn't imagine what was in that. Let me tell you, we chip paint and we paint it all, primed and paint all the time. That's what we do. It's just, yeah. And so I'm going to go down to Jason real quick though, because I know you got more, Paul, and we're going to make a loop around. Jason, I know you're just raring to get into this fun.
Well, yeah. So for me, as far as this one goes, as far as exposures and everything, uh, you know, I wanted to kind of go a little different route as far as when I first went into the Marine Corps, and I think that all of us know that we have certain risks that we've got to that we possibly encounter. Number one, risk of going to war, risk of being injured or whatever, just by signing on that dotted line and everything. So I think that we all understand that. But
No, we didn't. Oh, no, we didn't. I didn't sign up for that. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you.
some of us,
Most of y'all might have, but this guy didn't. This guy here didn't want to cut hair.
yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough. So we all entered with this knowing that there's a certain risk. And there is a risk to almost any job that you do. I mean, truck driving you got the dangers of the road, anything can happen out there. You got, being a police officer, being a firefighter, you're exposed to so many dangers that there is. So when I entered the Marine Corps, I kind of knew that this isn't going to be an easy job. There's dangers out there that we had no idea about. So when I went off to in the Marine Corps, they shipped me over to Saudi Arabia to Desert Storm, Desert Shield. I get home after the Marine Corps, uh, and we start a family, and I'm starting to work in the civilian life and everything, and just getting accustomed. And I started having some pretty serious health issues at 22, 23 years old, trying to figure out what is happening to me. So we start going to the VA in Boise, Idaho, and they start putting us through all these tests and everything. And it took like 3 years. It was just as they were starting to the VA was starting to put out what was called the Gulf War Registry, if you all remember that. But that was back in the early 90s. And I think I started going there in 93, 94, something like that. And but at the same time, I was, trying. I was very discouraged. I was trying to figure out, well, what could cause me to be so sick? This doesn't make any sense. Well, as time went on, I'm becoming a little more discouraged. I'm not getting any answers from the VA. I'm listening to alternative media, if you will, and listening to more of a negative stance, right? More of a conspiratorial type stance. And so I immediately go to the vaccines that we were given over there. We were given some uh, experimental vaccines for like anthrax, for like botulism. I mean, I think that we all had signed them waivers, at least I did anyhow. Uh, and so that's where I went, and then in approximately 97, the VA basically kind of told me, there's nothing we can really do for you. Great, but I still have all these problems. So all these years go by, and I'm thinking the worst of things. I'm thinking, gosh, the vaccines that they gave us, the medicines they gave us, I do remember being gassed over in the war. I didn't realize the extent of that. I didn't realize the extent of the oil fires. I didn't have to deal with the burn pits, by the way. Just saying, I did not have to deal with the burn pits. Thank goodness. But anyway, so I knew that I was exposed to some things and everything. But as I'm going through life and very discouraged, getting sicker and sicker, especially as I get older, and I want to say it was around 2017 when I really started taking a hard look at what was causing these problems. And then I've got to say that because of this tonight, this show tonight, I dug even deeper into what you were bringing up, Paul, as far as the other chemicals that we were exposed to. I didn't even put two and two together. I had absolutely no idea about the fire retardants that we were exposed to. I was in the Marine Corps. I was in the infantry. I personally was never around any of those fire retardants that you guys talk about, is what I'm thinking. The more I start digging, and I think you and I talked a little bit about this last night, Kevin, the more I started looking into this, we were exposed to this if you were even stationed at Camp Pendleton, California. Not just Camp Lejeune, not just Camp Pendleton, California, but military bases all over this country. You can go, there's websites, I think it's on the EPA, if I'm not mistaken, that shows you all of the military plants that have exposure, whether it's toxins that leaked into the ground, water, into the soil, that they had to remove the soil uh, in certain places on these bases because they were contaminated with these toxins. And
But
these
but
are
before you go further, I think everybody needs to understand why you're digging so deep into this.
oh
It
wait,
isn't just one cancer or two cancer, it's three different cancers that you have.
yes. So
And
yeah,
after last night, when we were talking, and just so happened another Marine came up to me while I was cutting his hair, and he's like, "Hey, guess what I just found out?" And I was like, "What's that?" He says, "I have this certain cancer." I was like, "Wait a second, I think Jason had that." So I called Jason. So we put it out there, and I want you to tell everybody exactly what cancer, because this is like 1 in 1 million people get it. It's probably the rarest cancer.
it is a very rare cancer. It's extremely rare. I'm not going to say it's the rarest because I actually probably have the rarest type of cancer right now.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Because I'm apparently really lucky or something. I didn't do very good with gambling or anything like that, or playing the lottery. But with the cancer ticket, I'm pretty lucky. Uh, so, uh, as Paul alluded to, these are chemicals that the EPA even admits that there are problems all over our military bases, all over this country. But as far as the Marine Corps goes, Camp Pendleton was a very big one, and being exposed to these, I think they're called, are they PMF? No, not PMF.
PFAS, PFAS, PFAS.
Yeah,
Triple F is a category, or think of it like a family tree. PFAS is at the top. A triple F is one of a couple of chemicals that branch off of that, if you think of it like a family tree.
yeah, and those are supposedly, my understanding, are forever chemicals.
Yep.
Once they're in your body, they're in your body.
You never get rid of them.
And so when I started finding out that there's lawsuits against Camp Pendleton, for actually it's against these companies that made these chemicals. I don't think the lawsuits are actually against Camp Pendleton. I think they're these
Dow Chemical, 3M, and I can't think of the name of the third one.
Yeah,
so
there's
I know
three.
a bit about the lawsuit side of it as well.
so as I was reading into this, and after you and I talked last night, Kevin, with that other Marine, back in 2014 was when I was diagnosed with testicular cancer. Okay, so and it's a reproductive problem, right? And that can spread into your lungs and everything, and get into your lungs and cause some serious problems. And I was very fortunate that they caught it soon enough, and I was able to get it removed and out of my body and all that good stuff. And uh, but I was very devastated. Like, how could this possibly be from a vaccine? How could this possibly be from exposures to oil fires? none of this makes sense. I thought that I had a kind of an understanding until we started digging this subject a little deeper. And then these forever chemicals, with some of the lawsuits that are going on, one of the main cancers is testicular cancer.
Mm-hmm.
That is a problem. Prostate cancer is a problem. It is on the list of the main blood cancers. I have polycythemia vera, which is one of the rarest blood cancers that there is. That I believe it turns to leukemia or something like that eventually, and that will eventually supposedly take me. Uh, I serve our Lord Jesus Christ, so He is the ultimate physician, and not these doctors that tell me I've only got certain time to live. So I'm going to trust in Him. But going, so now, and I think I told you guys this morning that my mind is kind of blown. Here, I thought all of these years, I thought I had a grasp on. We were exposed to some agent that we were gassed with. I remember putting on our gas mask. I remember taking them off. We didn't decontaminate. We didn't do anything proper. They took the batteries out of the testing kits and everything, and just acted as if nothing was going on. Uh, so we were exposed to that. We were exposed to these vaccines, these pills that we had to take for anthrax. All of it experimental. I thought I had a pretty good grasp on what happened to me health wise. And now I'm looking at all of these different exposures, the gun cleaning agents. I still use CLP today. I got a bottle when I got out of the Marine Corps 35 years ago. I got a big bottle of it that I still use today when I'm cleaning my weapons. Uh, I didn't realize that that's a very toxic thing. Uh, and so now with this subject, my mind has been blown. I don't know. I don't know where I stand anymore. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, I completely understand that. But what you got to look at is we're never going to know 100% because we're exposed to so much. But the one thing that I do want to also talk about is it wasn't just that. Let's get into this. Let's get into laundry detergent. The laundry detergent that the Navy used, phosphates, optical brighteners, strong sulfur. I don't even know what the heck that word is, but it takes out a lot of the grease. Bleaching agents to really bring out and enhance the clothing and all that. Not till the mid 90s, they started going in, the FDA pulling all this stuff back out. They're like, wait a second, no, this stuff's bad. So, I mean, it was everyday stuff that we were involved with. Let's also get into depleted uranium. From what I'm learning, almost everything over 50 cal had depleted uranium, all the way up until the 2000s, and out there. And so, I mean, think about everybody who handled these missiles, everybody who handled stuff. It had depleted uranium. And so it's just so much that's out there. Like one of the first things they were talking about, like if you were in the M.225 series tank ammunition, depleted uranium. The PGU 14B API round, the 25 millimeter M919, the Bradley fighting vehicles. That's what we talk about, depleted uranium. And some of the major bases that they're talking about, that you were talking about, there's a big list right now. And so, I mean,
Yeah, and I wanted to add to that was the ground got exposed. The ground had toxic chemicals that were either leached into it and or they were put in their landfills. They were covered up, right? They were they were put underneath the ground and whatnot. That leaked into the water, the aquifer,
Yeah.
and that's. I don't think that I had stated that, so I wanted to state that it leaked into the aquifer, and then we were drinking that. We were, you know, and yeah, and I don't know. Yeah,
But
it's
you also got to think about the civilians who were drinking that aquifer too.
yes,
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm saying. And everything is polluted. Everything, pesticides. Pesticides were a really big deal. Like I learned that not only like for y'all in closed spaces, and y'all were spraying them while y'all were out there out of vehicles, and then they said helicopters were flying over spraying them. I was like, what the heck? I mean, we didn't have to worry about, insects and stuff like that. I was on a ship, but our toxins, it's just when Paul talked to all of us about this, and after the show, that blew me away. I mean, because Paul is very, very passionate about helping vets on this. And so I'm now going to curve it over to Wade real quick because Wade, you have anything to say tonight?
Well, kind of like what Jason said. So, having been at Camisea, and I've said this numerous times, there's not a verified death that actually happened at Camisea when they released sarin. So they say they released sarin, which I've always found very, very weird. There hasn't been a verified death since Camisea that someone can say, hey, that veteran died because he was exposed to sarin nerve agent. So if there was a low dose exposure, so be it. Apparently they're going back to look at it. When they do go back to look at it, and if they go ahead and accept it, it's only going to affect 105,000 veterans. So what about the rest of the veterans? I mean, there's going to be a lot of pissed off veterans when that happens. So everything that Paul is saying makes more sense to me than anything that I experienced while I was in Desert Storm, to be completely honest with you. Burn pits. I've been to bonfires that were bigger than the burn pits that we had. Vaccines. Yeah, I'll go back to vaccines. There might be something there. Smoke. There's nothing. There's no conclusive that says with the amount of inhalation of the oil well smoke fires that's going to cause long term. So I mean that makes that AFFF that makes more sense to me logically than anything that we experience in Desert Storm. That's just my personal opinion.
I agree with this. It's not just one exposure that did this, right? It's not.
Until some research and some replicated research proves that, which nobody is currently doing, that's just a theory. It's a hypothesis. Nobody has proved it.
Right.
So,
I mean, there's right, and Haley brought up sarin gas. I don't believe that. I mean,
Haley has one research study that has never been replicated on sarin gas.
Right. One.
We only heard about sarin gas just recently, right?
No, it's been around a while.
Well, I mean, I remember just hearing about it just recently, like the last 10 years or whatever.
So my question to Paul is, so on these military posts, we obviously have civilian workers that are working on those posts as well as the military. Are they having these side effects and health conditioning at the same rate or equal to? See, that would be, my common denominator that I talk about. If the military is having these conditions, the civilians working on these posts are having these conditions, that's a next. They never deployed to Desert Storm.
There's a great documentary that came out in 2018, and it's on Apple Plus. And as soon as I bring it up, I need to make sure I got the name right. Gentleman I was in the Air Force with, Air Force officer. The name of this documentary is called No Defense. Okay, it's called No Defense. Guy named Craig Miner, retired lieutenant colonel, B-52, B-2 bomber pilot. Okay. His undergrad was in chemical engineering, gets out of the Air Force, gets bored, decides to become an attorney. Kind of a smart dude, right? His son was born severely disabled and died at the age of 33. Direct cause and effect, AFFF. It's called No Defense. Okay. Might cost $5 to watch it, whatever the case may be. It was actually filmed at and about the Air Force Base I was at. Okay. There's another 2 episodes of PBS NewsHour that were on last November about the AFFF and the damages that it causes and the things that it does to human body. Your entire endocrine system, thyroid, pancreas, liver, prostate. If you have prostate cancer and you're a veteran, this is why. Period. I could not tell you how many veterans I've helped get 100% disability who have active prostate cancer, and this is the single source cause, not Agent Orange.
Okay, so I have prostate cancer. I have thyroid is Hashimoto's. I have necrotizing pancreatitis. Okay, so liver seems to be good, but so now that being said, and I don't want anybody to take me wrong. I'm not saying nothing happened during Desert Storm, but what I'm saying is I've always maintained there's a lot of things that could have happened in the 35 years from 1990 to now. A lot of other variables, and trying to prove what happened to you in Desert Storm is going to do nothing but drive you crazy. So, you're running down a rabbit hole you're never going to fill. So I go to that. So now my number one thing I would do if I was going to chase this is I would have my blood tested for this AFFF. And then I would chase that down. And then I would, present these medical conditions as far as exposure. And I think I'd have a better chance than trying to say, hey, I was at Camisea, I was exposed. How do I prove that? I can prove that I was at Camisea, but how am I going to prove that I was exposed to sarin? Test my blood. There is no test for it.
So I did. I proved my type 2 diabetes. I got out in 1995. Okay. Got out in 95. Diabetic in 2008. Got it service connected in 2022 because of the AFFF and the water at all 7 military bases I was stationed at stateside. None of it had to do with the Gulf War or burn pits.
Doesn't that lead to neuropathy as well?
Oh, yeah. So here's the thing about diabetes, and I'll get off my podium. Sorry, I'm doing my best.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
The average American population is 10.5% of the population. 10.5% is diabetic. Veteran population is 25%. That is not a statistical anomaly, ladies and gentlemen. That 10% to 25%. What is so drastically different about us? Oh, Agent Orange. No. I wasn't in Vietnam. I cannot tell you how many veterans I've helped get type 2 diabetes service connected, Hashimoto's, thyroid. I'm going to stop here. Let me do one more thing. I got service connected for type 2 diabetes, 20%. There's 7 different secondaries I was able to get service connected because of type 2 diabetes. If you're type 2 diabetic and you can hear my voice, it's because you're a veteran.
What we're trying to say, we're not downplaying Desert Storm and the chemicals out there.
Correct.
We know we drank petroleum that couldn't be filtered completely out. We know there were oil well fires. We know there was sarin gas, mustard gas. We know we blew all this stuff up.
Vaccines galore.
The vaccines galore. And I mean, pills. Nothing we're talking about is, we're talking about the other chemicals. And what Wade is trying to say, he's been trying to find that one common denominator that is, I'm telling y'all, Wade's been working on this, since 94, 95.
We have one member of every service sitting right here, and there is not one common denominator that we all experience. Not one sitting here.
Right. And that's what, and Wade has been down this rabbit hole, chasing also for years and years and years. Now, what I would like to find out, why do I bleed out my nose, my ears, and sometimes when I go to the bathroom? Can anybody Explain that one to me. What causes that? Well, you know, don't know. How many people out there have had that exact same problem? Nobody on this panel has. Okay. I think I talked to maybe one other person. I mean, and that could have been that I could have got a parasite. I don't know. I can't explain it. I can't. In the beginning, I really believed 90% of everything I got was completely from chemicals from the Desert Storm, just sarin gas and mustard gas. I never went down the rabbit hole that they did. But now I look at it, I now understand completely 100%. And that's what we're trying to have everybody. For me, I want everybody to understand. Yes, sarin gas was bad, mustard gas. We know biological weapons were used out there because Dr. Nicholson even brought it up. That was one of his biggest things. But he was the very first one that actually came out back in the 90s and talked about what we're all going through, the mitochondria. He's been screaming that from the rooftop, and they shut him down. Now everybody is screaming it from the rooftop. And, you know, you go and see what these chemicals do. What causes cancer? What causes all this stuff? Your cells. Your cells are dying. But, Paul, let's get into this. When you talk about getting blood work, where exactly can you go to get the blood work? I mean, who can we get a hold of?
There's 2 labs in the United States that do it. Excuse me. And you know what? I'm sorry, I'm a little ill prepared. I'm searching my computer right now. Costs $500. First and foremost, up front, $500. Okay, it's not cheap. Paid it out of pocket. The VA will not test you for this. Okay, they won't do it. Why? That's a whole nother topic on another show, another time. Okay. Number 2, it's the foremost lab doing it. It's something DX. I apologize, guys. It's
okay, but while you're looking up, I'm going to bring up what Jason just put up here.
So sorry.
Right here. The root issues that causes the side effects. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you for saying side effects.
Absolutely.
Because that's what I've been trying to say. There's some kind of side effect of something that we got out there. Do I believe that there are people out there that generally got sick from sarin gas? Yeah, 100%. Do I believe that probably Wade was exposed to it that could have caused his cancer? Yeah. Could I believe that could have caused one of Jason's cancer? Yeah. But man, when that Marine last night, when he brought that up and he was like talking to me about it, it's like, man, that just blew my mind. I was immediately, man, getting on the phone, man. I'm calling Jason. The guy's like, what are you doing? I was like, just shut up, man. I'm calling Jason. And Michael was like, what? I said, just trust me. And I brought it up. And Jason's like, that's what I have. And, you know, it's just crazy.
It's called Empower, EMPOWER DX. Delta X-ray. Empower DX. It is not a DNA test. It's not a chromosome test. It's a blood test. And again, my wife gave me, or not gave me, but my wife took like 4 or 5 vials of blood, right? She was my phlebotomist, scared the bejesus out of me. I'm not afraid of much, but I don't like seeing my own blood come out of my own body. Anybody else has a problem, man, I'll be Johnny on the spot with the medic kit. But when it's my blood, I got a problem. It took about 4 weeks. And it's all medically sealed and all the things, you know, all the stuff. Came back and I call a friend of mine, this Air Force retired lieutenant colonel. He goes, oh, you're only at 1.8 million? I got guys who are 12, 15 million parts per trillion. I was only in the Air Force 6 years.
So think about this in the big scheme of things. let's just say, if we stick with just Desert Storm by itself, we're dealing with 250,000 sick veterans, 1/3 of the 700. If the military came back, if what do you think the numbers would come back if that AFFF? The numbers would come back of military veterans, like veterans that never deployed. They came, they did a 4-year stint, never left the United States, but they now later on in life they are sick, and they have no idea because they're thinking, "I never went anywhere, I never did anything." But so, what do you think the numbers would be? The responsibility of the
apparently
government.
Paul has them.
But can you just imagine the responsibility of the government? So is it not easier for them to say, "Hey, we're going to take care of these 250,000 to whatever 300,000 versus X number of veterans who are exposed"?
When you start to look at the exposures, the quantity of exposures, how much we were exposed to, how often we were exposed to it. The number one way to get a chemical into your body is through your lungs, to inhale it. Guess what we all did every day? We took a shower and we had steam and we were breathing that shit in every single, at least I was. I showered daily. Jason, you may not have had the ability to shower every day, but I did. That's why I joined the Air Force, not the Marine Corps. But
Thank you. That's why I joined the Navy.
Can't be too serious.
Part because it wasn't that hot.
But just think about that, right? The best way for a chemical to get into your body. You got a kid who's got a breathing issue, you give him a nebulizer. You got asthma, nebulizer. The water becomes vapor. You breathe it in. The fastest way to get a chemical into your body is through your lungs. Okay. We took showers every day. We drank coffee with this stuff. We brushed our teeth. Again, at least we did in the Air Force. I can't be too serious too long. There is no doubt about this. I started to dig into it. The DOD, okay, so after Camp Lejeune, the DOD went out and assessed every single military base, United States, open, closed, National Guard, Reserve, BRAC, didn't matter. Okay, every one of them. 700 plus military bases across the country. Okay. 700 across the country. If you are a veteran alive today, you've been exposed to AFFF at a level that is toxic, period.
That's crazy. And I want to bring up what William talked about. 2 current researchers, Dr. Glum. Well, she's going to be on next week, William. And, we got a lot of questions for her and everything. And so, and then Dr. I'm going to, out of Georgetown, that's all I'm going to say. I can't even say Barnanak. Barnanak. Okay, I didn't butcher it too bad. But here's the thing. If they were to come back and they were to prove, and this is the way I kind of look at it, if they could narrow it down to exactly one thing or maybe 3 things, here's the problem I would see for them coming out saying, yes, this is the reason. There'd be so many vets and that have deceased that would want their spouses would want back pay. And rightfully so. I had 2 uncles, Agent Orange, nothing, because the PACT Act wasn't passed at that time. And so if it would have been passed back then when it was first written, they would have qualified for it. One of my uncles had to get divorced so he could get VA care for his. Now, you tell me what kind of crock of crap is that? So you got to think about, if they were to come up to me, I'm sorry. I don't understand. I don't understand how you could ask for one of your, spouses, to say, hey, I got to get divorced in order to get treatment. Treatment didn't work, but yet they got divorced. I mean, it's just a bunch of crap. I just
So the conspiracy side of this is not a conspiracy. Okay?
It's not a conspiracy. No.
Wade, it's cheaper to get benefits to 300,000 Gulf War veterans who are going to die before they're 70 than actually come clean about this.
Absolutely.
You look at this from an
Right.
insurance point of view, actuarial table. I know one of the guys who used to be in charge of the VA benefits for the entire Southern Los Angeles region, Southern California region, all of Southern California, New Mexico, Arizona, and part of Nevada. They did an assessment and evaluation. If they took every veteran in that area and made them 100% disability, they would pay less than keeping all the employees employed at VBA that take care of that.
Right.
The VA is a job organization. It is not for veterans. The VA does not advocate for you, us. I'm not trying to put the VA down. I'm just saying this is what they do. They adjudicate a claim. They do not advocate for us. Veterans
Right.
health care is designed to keep us healthy going forward. Veterans benefits is designed to look back to see if what you went through are causing your health issues today.
So just a real, and again, this will be for another show, but would this chemical alter your DNA or your mitochondria as far as passing it on to your offspring?
That's why I got passionate. I have 2 daughters, going back to what I loosely led to at the beginning. My grandfather was in World War I, 25 grandchildren. 10 of the 25 have cancer. 8 of those 10 have died. That is a statistical anomaly. No, something my grandfather, I feel, was exposed to in World War I. I was in the Gulf War. I wanted to make sure my 2 daughters did not run into reproductive issues like many wives and or children of Marines who were stationed at Lejeune. Okay. The government has said, hey, if your wife was at Lejeune with you, or you as a female Marine at Lejeune, and you had any kind of reproductive issues or children with birth defects, they are a part of VA benefits now. Okay. That was my concern about my 2 daughters. Did I volunteer and go and do something I wanted to do now impacts my children? I do have a problem with that.
Right. Yeah.
And I was just going to throw this out. I just saw what Alex Day put out there, and I'm pretty aware of it. My daughter has had numerous health issues over the years, and at 22 years old, we go this next week, and she's doing this will be like her 3rd cardiac test in the last 2 weeks, and she's doing a CT angiogram. So at 22 years old, for her to be going through all this, she might have got picked up something along the way that
Yeah.
and that's
It what's funny is me and Wade's daughter has my daughter and Wade's daughter has a lot of similar problems.
right.
And that's one thing me and him have always said, like, well, how's that possible? You know, this, if we were this, you were here, I was there, blah, 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 everything. And but I want to get to this one. Where's Big John? Okay, just to let you know, Big John is taking a break right now to be with his family and everything. He's got some stuff, health issues going on that we're praying for him and everything. Hopefully he'll be back on one of these days. He's going to take a little bit of time off to spend it with his family. So I wanted to address that to let y'all know, no, we did not kick him off the show. He's just taking time off and everything. But with all this being said, this is fascinating. I mean, this
really is it's a crazy subject. It really is.
So something I wanted to bring up, all of this is still, there's no common denominator here. we're all from different branches, just like you said, Wade, and so it's still like a mystery. What happened, right? The thing that I go back to that I've noticed so many veterans, myself included, was the problems that we had. The VA has done their best. I've always felt here in Idaho, anyhow, to help me with my problems. But there's problems that it's a mystery. They can't help me with. So what I've done, and I bring this up because we're not going to get down to the bottom of it. We don't know what to do. But I've taken measures to try to get toxins out of my body. To try, sweating is seems to be a really good way to relieve certain toxins and whatnot. So taking hot baths or getting in the sauna or whatever, or exercising if you can, you know. Uh, so I've always tried things like that to try to help mitigate the pain and the problems that I'm going through. If the VA can't help with a problem that a veteran is going through that can cause some severe depression and some severe anxiety and just you feel low on life. I've been there. I'm at a point where I can't even hardly mow my yard. I can't use a push mower. I can't use a weed eater. You know, my arms lose all the strength in them. I'm only 54 years old. I'll be 55 here soon. I'm too young to have those kind of problems, you know. And I'm sure that a lot of us can probably
Relate.
feel that same way or relate to that same way. And that can be a total drain. So I try my best to eat right. I eliminate any sugars, you know, the best that I can. And I don't know any other way to be able to help veterans, but to tell them you've got to kind of you got to kind of take steps to take care of yourself. You know, if you can exercise, I personally I can do very little exercise. You know, I tried doing push-ups, doing sit-ups, listening to you guys. You know how it sounds like you guys are you know are trying to encourage. I try, and I'm in
And
so much pain that I just can't do it. You know?
I can honestly tell you the app that I use is called the Better Me. It is for people like that. It's an aging app, and I mean the workouts I do, the hardest workout I do is with water bottles,
Yeah,
and it's for 9 seconds,
yeah.
and that's why at the beginning of the year I'm going to get back on it. Just to let everybody know, I purposely gained back some of my weight so
Oh,
I can prove that this thing will work again. And I mean, it wasn't hard. I had Thanksgiving, a bunch of pies, turkey, and everything else. But I mean, early, I kind of, but I still don't drink the Dr. Peppers like I used to and stuff like that. I'm trying to stay away from the sugar part. But I did gain some of the weight back, about 20 pounds, which is good. You know, I'm still at a healthy weight. But I want to start the beginning of the year in January, and I'm going to start it all over again. And hopefully I can get a bigger group of veterans. But one of the things that can make you happy is us talking about it. Everybody being together, understanding. Don't turn your nose to the other one and, you know, turn it away and say, nah, I don't give a crap, you know, or this, and this. That's the one thing that I see in a lot of groups. Somebody posts something, everybody dogs on them. It's like, you know what? Their problem is bad to them. Your problem is bad to you. So I just, you know, that's how I feel. I know we're coming to the end of it right now. Oh, and the only thing I was going to ask y'all, because I saw this and maybe we can answer this for him, uh, if I can find it. Man, that sucker. I'm trying to keep up with the questions. There's been a lot of them up here, but it was the what was it he said?
Wallenberger syndrome. I've never heard
Yeah,
of it.
Wallenberg. Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard of it either.
No
And
clue.
everything.
I seen that Denise was in. It was in there. I don't know if Denise has any idea what that is or not, but I've
Yeah.
never even no clue.
I've never heard of it neither, and so I'm surprised Paul. Like, this is what it is. You know, Paul and Wade are research. Me and Jason just throw crap out there to see if they can catch
You
it.
guys are the window dressing. You guys look
Yeah,
good.
you know, yeah, we look good. Yeah, you know. But I want to remind each and every person. Thanks for listening. I want y'all to remember one thing.
go Navy.
Right here, go Navy. They're going to beat the Army in 13. And let me tell you, I may end up doing one of these little get-togethers with all four of us, so the other one can get embarrassed. It just depends on who it is, me or Wade, and everything. And I mean, and this is a fun thing, man. And this is one thing I love about the Army Navy game, man. Hey, you know, all for one, and one for all, you know. But the Navy's going to beat y'all. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. And if y'all didn't get to hear this,
Forget about the 10 points.
Right. Oh, yep. I gave Wade a 10-point lead. Okay. So now if it's exactly 10 points, we're squared away. You don't win, I don't win.
Well, if
It's
it's
exactly
if
10.
both lose, you
Well,
both should go in your bag.
Absolutely. That's why we wouldn't bring y'all on at that time. But if y'all didn't get to hear this message that I got, anonymously, I got this, and they're protecting Wade. These are actually the Army football players sending me a message. Here we go.
I'll give you a message. That's we're gonna beat Navy and you're gonna be wearing a damn dress. Oh yeah.
Damn straight.
Well, I just want them to know. I don't think so, brother. I love that. I love
That's awesome.
I love the spirit of it and everything. But now, if anybody can get a hold of the Navy guys and send me a message to protect me, I mean, come on. I did send an email, and they did wish me luck. Just to let y'all know, the coach did, or the athletics head guy did. But otherwise than that, bunch of bull crap, man. They should get on there and be like, "Hey, Kevin, we got your back, brother. Wade, y'all going down."
Hey, I just want to say thanks to Denise for pulling that up. I'm gonna look that up and read that when we get off. When we go out to the after show.
Okay, and hey, and just to let y'all know, y'all like and subscribe, and go to YouTube, subscribe. Y'all like and share this. This is what this is about. It's each and every person being able to come on, tell the story, and we throw other ideas out there. And so next week, we got Dr. Blum coming on. We're going to talk to her. We're going to talk about ICD codes. And we have some really interesting questions, don't we, Wade, coming up for her?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it because they're really good ones. And then also, she's bringing her assistant on. I think she's her assistant. Would that be an assistant? Or somebody who works with her? Or somebody works with her that is going to talk about the research on her end on how she does it. I'm already going through the program right now. It works great. It's right here. You can click on it, go through it. It sends them an email. I really appreciate it. And also, we did add Patreon to Facebook. So now we're going to go into the after show, and we're going to be talking more crap. Wait, the Navy quarterback beat Army last year.
Yeah, I believe it was his grandfather who served in the 82nd.
Whatever, man. I don't want to hear that crap.
Oh, yeah, the Navy quarterback had the 82nd patch on, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, man, I can't even believe I let that get up there. No. But we did add Patreon where we're going to go in and I'm going to talk more smack to Wade and everything, just like I talked smack against A&M and Texas game. Oh, anyway, but we're going to go in there. Y'all go check it out on Patreon. It's going to help. We're growing this up. We're going to make this bigger. Look, we don't make a dime off of the show. We don't take an income. We don't do any of that. Somebody sent me a message that was like, well, y'all trying to make an income? No, we're trying to grow the show. And trust me, I worked 40 plus hours on this. Wade probably works 80 hours on it because Wade, he's my brain now that comes up with great ideas. And, we're just trying to build this up so much better. And, also, Paul, Jason, I hope y'all have a great weekend. Paul, thank you for making my mind go 150 miles an hour over all this. Like, holy crap, And Wade, thank you as usual. And we're now going to hit the after show. But if you need to get a hold of me, y'all know where to get a hold of me at Kevin Simon at GoForSideEffects.com. At Kevin Simon at GoForSideEffects.com. You can get a hold of me. You can send me. I get a lot of emails there. I love it. Thank you. And I'll even take the negative ones. I had a couple of them, but it's fine. All right, guys. Y'all have a great weekend. And we're going to go into the after show. Thank you very much.
Thank you.